Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into, well, something that maybe sounds a bit dry, automotive fleet management.
Right.
But we're looking at how digital transformation is just fundamentally changing the game.
It really is.
We're talking about moving all this dense, often messy data from behind desks, right onto the road, integrated.
Yeah, it's actually a perfect case study for digital transformation.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about data, AI, sort of in the abstract.
Mhm.
But fleet management, that's a place where every single vehicle, every trailer, every piece of heavy equipment,
Mhm.
it's generating this constant, massive stream of
A
data.
mountain of data, real.
Exactly. And historically managing that, it was frankly a nightmare. Spreadsheets everywhere,
Yeah.
piles of paper.
Oh, I can imagine. So now specialized solutions are coming in to automate, centralize, simplify that whole flow.
Precisely. We're focusing today on the concept of a specialized ERP, an enterprise resource planning system, but one built specifically for mobility and transport. Think of something like, say, the Digiparc platform as a model for how this integration works.
Got it. So the core mission for the listener here is to understand how a system like this shifts fleet management, moving it away from just reacting, guessing.
Yeah, paying bills when they show up, finding problems after they happen.
Right. Moving from that to truly proactive piloting, giving you, the manager, total synthesized control over the vehicles, the drivers, contracts, costs, and all that crucial compliance stuff.
And that applies whether you're running a huge international logistics group, a small local business, or even a public service fleet. The principles are the same.
So our mission for you, listening, is to see how this integrated system acts almost like a digital brain.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not just a database, it's this network where every asset, every person involved is like a connected node, constantly feeding info into one central hub.
And that network, that brain, it has to start somewhere fundamental.
Okay.
And that's with the identity of each vehicle. The cornerstone of the whole thing is the digital vehicle file, or what people are increasingly calling the digital twin.
Digital twin? That sounds straightforward, but I'm guessing it's way more than just, the VIN and the license plate number.
Oh, absolutely. Far beyond that.
Yeah.
It's the complete life cycle record. It holds every administrative detail, sure, but also technical specs, financial records,
Okay.
and crucially, a historical timeline. Think maintenance logs,
Mhm.
records of any incidents or repairs, detailed fuel consumption history,
Oh.
and attachments too. You
Hmm.
can link insurance documents, registration certificates, invoices, even photos from inspections. It's all in one place.
I really like that focus on the history, the full picture, but that raises a question for me. What about established fleets? Companies with maybe thousands of vehicles already operating for years. Getting all that historical data in, that sounds like a monumental task up front.
It is. That's the critical hurdle. You're right. But it's also where the power of a good platform really shows.
How so?
Well, for those established operations, the system has to offer mass integration tools. You simply can't manually enter thousands of vehicle histories. It's impossible. So the platform needs to be able to import multiple vehicles, maybe hundreds or thousands, in bulk, usually using standardized file formats, connecting those old records into the new system. That's what eliminates potentially years of manual data entry.
Okay, so you overcome that initial data mountain. Then the real value emerges in what, instant traceability?
Exactly. You know the complete life cycle.
Huh.
When did this truck enter the fleet? Who drove it last week? How many miles did it cover? When is it likely due for retirement? It's all tracked step by step.
And that changes how people work, doesn't it? No more calling around 10 different people in 3 departments just to find out the status of one vehicle.
Precisely. It
Yeah.
centralizes the information, makes it immediately accessible.
And linking that efficiency, that centralization, it must be absolutely critical when you get into the financial side, right? Managing all those complex obligations.
Oh, definitely. A fleet isn't just the metal. It's a huge pile of paperwork.
Mm.
Purchase agreements, rental contracts, complex leasing deals.
Yeah.
The system has to manage all those different conditions, almost like an orchestra conductor, keeping everything in time.
Okay, let's get specific on contracts then. Because a contract is just paper until something goes wrong, right?
Right.
Especially with commercial leasing, the devil's always in the details there. Tracking payment amounts, deadlines, and those really critical usage ceilings, mileage limits, sometimes even tire usage limits.
And this is where you see that shift from just tracking data to genuine proactive risk management. Anyone listening who manages a commercial fleet knows the kind of massive financial penalties you can face for exceeding those contract ceilings.
Oh, yeah. They can be brutal.
They can instantly wipe out any profit you made on that vehicle for the whole year, sometimes more.
So, before these kinds of digital systems, managers often found out they'd blown past a mileage limit way too late, like when the final invoice arrived.
Exactly. Reactive. Too late. What's strategically vital now is the system's ability to flag vehicles approaching those thresholds well ahead of time. It generates alerts, maybe based on projected usage patterns. This lets the manager anticipate the issue. They can then adjust the vehicle's assignments, maybe swap it out for a lower mileage one, or, crucially, start renegotiating the contract terms before breaching them.
That foresight, that's the key. It moves the manager from being a reactive payer of penalties to someone who's proactively negotiating the terms. Huge difference.
Massive. And once you have a handle on those fixed contract costs, the next big financial battle is always the variable daily stuff.
And nothing eats budgets quite like fuel, right?
The nerve of war, as they say. It's often the single biggest operational expense. We're talking maybe 15%, sometimes even more, of the total cost of ownership, the TCO.
So how does a sophisticated system tackle fuel management beyond just logging receipts?
Well, the analysis needs to be much deeper than simple expense tracking.
Yes.
The system records the fuel type, the quantity, the cost, the mileage at the time of refill. That's basic. But the real value comes from continuous comparative analysis.
Yeah.
It's constantly comparing the actual consumption recorded for that specific vehicle against its theoretical or expected consumption.
Based on the model, operating conditions, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And that's where the strategic insight really kicks in. If you see a variance, an anomaly, say, one truck is suddenly using 10% more fuel than identical trucks on similar routes.
Then you can investigate immediately.
Right, you can drill down. Is it poor driving behavior? Maybe speeding or excessive idling? Is there an underlying mechanical problem causing inefficiency, something maintenance needs to look at? Or could it even be a simple data entry error somewhere?
And that moves the conversation beyond just accounting, doesn't it? It gets into operational efficiency, driver coaching, even safety.
Absolutely. But that kind of detailed investigation, it's only possible if the data you're working with is clean and coherent.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Precisely. So you need a really robust automated data chain. Consumption data, ideally, should be imported directly from third-party fuel card systems or electronic invoices, using standardized APIs or maybe protocols like EDI.
So it's not just saying it imports data. There's significant technical integration needed behind the scenes.
Yes, that's key. Ensuring the numbers flow accurately and coherently, right from the pump itself into your management dashboard and potentially your accounting ledger.
And that seamless flow of clean data allows for the really big picture view. Comprehensive TCO mapping,
That's the goal.
following the evolution of every single cost associated with an asset insurance, maintenance, fuel, financing, and spotting the biggest cost drivers.
Yep. Identifying the costliest posts is important. But for a deep dive audience like this, the truly strategic application isn't just identifying past costs, it's predicting future costs.
Ah, okay. Tell me more about that.
Well, the manager's role really transforms into something more like a financial predictor for the fleet. The system should allow you to analyze trends based on current usage rates, maintenance costs for a particular model. You can project when the TCO curve for that specific asset or group of assets is likely to cross a threshold where it's no longer optimal to keep operating at.
So you're using data to pinpoint the exact best time for replacement.
Exactly. You can demonstrate with hard numbers precisely when it becomes more financially sensible to retire or replace an asset rather than continuing to pour money into maintaining it. That's data-driven decision-making at its best.
Now let's broaden the scope a bit. When we talk about a fleet, we naturally think of cars, trucks, vans, road vehicles. But these specialized ERPs, they seem to expand that definition quite a bit, don't they? What other kinds of assets need to be integrated?
It really has to cover everything attached to the mobility operation. So yes, vehicles, but also all the associated equipment. Think GPS units, specific onboard telematics devices, maybe specialized technical parts, accessories like toolboxes or safety kits mounted on vehicles.
Okay.
Each of those items needs its own record, its own history, maybe its own document file. You need to track its movement between different vehicles over time.
And what about those sort of forgotten assets, the ones without engines maybe, like trailers?
Trailers, yes, they are a classic pain point. They often get overlooked in simpler tracking systems,
I bet.
but they carry significant regulatory weight, insurance implications, and operational risk if they're not properly maintained or tracked. So this system absolutely must manage their serial numbers, their legal status, their physical location, maintenance schedules, and all associated documents.
Makes sense. And I assume it also needs to handle things like vehicles you don't own but use, subcontractor vehicles.
Yes, exactly. Handling hybrid fleet models is common. You need to manage the documentation, usage, tracking, and compliance for subcontractor vehicles operating under your banner.
And crucially, what happens when an asset leaves the active fleet? Retired vehicles?
Right. You don't just delete the record. That historical data is valuable. It needs to be properly archived, but remain accessible for long-term analysis. It feeds back into that whole TCO modeling and prediction for future purchases.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something earlier about assets where mileage isn't the key metric.
Ah, yes, non-mileage assets. This is a significant departure from traditional car fleet management, but essential for many industries.
You mean heavy machinery, things that move or operate but don't really rack up kilometers in the same way.
Exactly. Think about construction equipment like excavators or cranes, or maybe generators, static power units, forklifts. For these assets, mileage is often irrelevant.
So how do you track usage and maintenance?
The system has to be flexible enough to operate using hourly indices instead. Hours of operation become the key metric dictating usage. And that fundamentally changes how you schedule maintenance, how you track utilization rates, how you anticipate costs. It adds complexity, too, because sometimes you have assets where both matter, like a truck-mounted crane. You need to track mileage for the truck's chassis and engine, but hours for the crane's operation, potentially triggering different maintenance cycles.
That level of granularity is impressive. Now, here's where it gets really critical, I think. Integrating the human element. How does the system connect all the personnel management stuff?
Yeah, this is vital.
Driver files, permits, licenses, salary info maybe, infractions, accident records. Connecting all that directly to the vehicles and the specific missions they undertake.
This is where you see a major operational breakthrough. It takes HR data out of just being a filing cabinet and turns it into a tool for true dynamic planning.
How does that work in practice?
By linking a driver's profile, their availability, their specific certifications, the license classes they hold directly to the vehicle's requirements, and the demands of a particular mission or route. The system can actually help optimize assignments in real time.
So we're talking about automatically managing driver rotations, ensuring you always have the right certified driver available for the right type of vehicle or load, and maybe even issuing standardized mission orders electronically.
Precisely that. This capability can dramatically boost operational efficiency. It helps reduce bottlenecks caused by scheduling conflicts or finding out last minute that the assigned driver doesn't have the right hazmat certification for the load, that kind of thing.
Or if a vehicle gets flagged for urgent maintenance.
Exactly. The system can instantly see who's assigned to it, maybe suggest alternative drivers or vehicles, and help reroute things quickly, minimizing that costly downtime.
Okay, let's talk scale, because this is crucial for many listeners. For big companies, maybe with subsidiaries or operating sites in different countries, how does a platform like this provide global control while still respecting local needs and autonomy? You've got fragmented data, different regulations, currencies.
Yeah, scaling internationally introduces significant complexity. The platform's architecture has to be genuinely multi-site. It needs that capability to effectively isolate local operational data.
What do you mean by isolate?
Well, think about specific maintenance requirements or regulations that only apply in one country. The local team needs to manage that. But at the same time, headquarters needs a unified, global overview of asset utilization, overall costs, profitability across the entire organization.
That sounds like a tricky balancing act, especially keeping financial data coherent.
It is, and it means certain global features are absolutely non-negotiable. You need highly customizable access rights, granular control over who sees what data, local managers see their operational details, global executives see the aggregated reports.
Makes sense.
Crucially, you need robust support for multiple languages and multiple currencies, assigned by region or site. And this isn't just translating menus, it's full multilingual capability. It has to correctly translate system labels, data fields, and, critically, units of measure.
Ah, like gallons and miles versus liters and kilometers.
Exactly. A fuel consumption metric, measured in MPG in one region, needs to seamlessly convert to L100 kilometers for the central finance team's TCO analysis, without any data corruption or confusion. That coherence is key.
So you've got this integrated, potentially global, highly secure system pulling in all this data. What does it ultimately give the manager on a daily basis? What's the output?
It provides the control tower view. The system's main output is usually a set of complete customizable dashboards. These synthesize that vast ocean of data into genuinely actionable
Well,
insights.
they can visualize things like,
Vehicle availability in real time, asset turnover rates, profitability may be broken down by client, by contract, by time period, or even down to the individual vehicle ID level. It brings clarity to complex operations.
and given the sheer depth and sensitivity of this data, we're talking financial, contractual, HR, technical details, the security aspect must be incredibly stringent. This is highly proprietary information.
Oh, absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
Because these platforms are inherently multi-user, often cloud-based, data integrity and confidentiality are non-negotiable.
Right.
The system must have very robust access management policies. Who can see what, who can change what. Plus, strong protections against data alteration, accidental deletion, or unauthorized leaks. The design really implies these platforms are engineered for environments with high confidentiality, needs, the defense contractors, critical public infrastructure providers, that sort of thing.
So the ultimate outcome then, the promise, is reliability, adaptability, and security,
Hmm.
providing real clarity on costs, risks, and future performance.
That's the goal. And it's important to stress the technology at its core, it doesn't replace the skilled operational manager.
Hmm.
Not at all. It massively amplifies their capabilities.
How so?
By automating the grunt work, the data collection, the basic analysis managers spend far less time chasing paperwork or buried in spreadsheets and much more time making informed strategic decisions.
Which leads to,
Less waste, fewer nasty financial surprises, greater overall efficiency day to day, and actually immeasurably more positive environmental impact, too, through smarter fuel consumption monitoring and really precise preventative maintenance control. Fewer breakdowns, better fuel economy.
it feels like fleet management has decisively moved way beyond the old paper ledger and the clipboard.
Absolutely.
It's now operating with a kind of integrated digital power steering, making every decision from when to retire an asset to which driver gets which job smoother, far more precise, and fundamentally driven by verifiable data.
And that level of deep strategic control, that's really the final takeaway for you, the listener. If digitalization lets a company master its costs and usage to this incredible degree,
Yeah,
from anticipating the smallest contract ceiling penalty months in advance to investigating the root cause of the biggest fuel consumption anomaly, what previously accepted may be inevitable inefficiency should you now challenge within your own operational structure. What hidden costs are you potentially only discovering when it's already far too late?